لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله علي ولي الله.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Tawbah, ayah number 88, لكني رسول والذين آمنوا معه جهدوا بأموالهم وأنفسهم وأولئك لهم الخيرة وأولئك هم المفلحون. It says in translation, but the messenger and those who believe with him strive with their wealth, mashallah, as you're doing today, and their lives, as you all are doing as well for this school. So such are they for whom are the good things. Such are they who are the successful, the muflihun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says in Surah Al-Ala, the Most High, Surah number 87, ayah number 14 through 17. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ تَزَكَّى وَذَكَرَ إِسْمَ رَبِّهِ فَصَلَّى بَلْ تُؤْثِرُونَ الْحَيَاةَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ وَأَبْقَى. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The translation of this ayah is, one is what? Aflaha, successful, who grows and remembers one's sustainer,'s name and prays unto him. It says, but nay, O people, you prefer the life of this world, although the life to come is better and more enduring. I'm choosing these ayahs tonight in honor of this school and to talk to you about what is success in school. What does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tell us in the Holy Quran about success? Let's look at some of the words from these ayahs and determine what we can gain from them to understand what Allah really wants from us in terms of success. Every parent here today is interested in the success of their child. They want their child to do well in school and to do well in life. And not only that, you've chosen a Muslim school to support so that you can help these beautiful young children, mashallah, who are so lovely and are so patient. They're waiting to also show more of the work they've done. They are what you're most interested in. And you want them, what? Not just to have a good education, but to have a firm and confident identity in Islam. So we want to see from these verses, and just a few verses, what does Allah talk about when it's about success? First of all, let's look at one of these words. Tazakka, the root zakka, to grow, to be clean, to thrive, to prosper. Allah is talking about those who are successful are those who are continually growing and purifying themselves. This is our message to the families here tonight. And I actually have to congratulate all of the families here for choosing a school like this. You could have gone elsewhere. You could have put your money, your time into other schools, but you chose to create an Islamic environment for your children. MashaAllah, I congratulate all of you. And I'm really impressed actually with the number of people that attend this program and the number of students I'm seeing. You're very blessed to have one another as well. And this is a sign of a success as well. So MashaAllah in this respect. Now, what does Imam Ali alayhi salam have to say about knowledge? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. This will give us again another angle to understanding what success really means from a spiritual point of view and from an Islamic point of view. He says, knowledge is better than wealth because knowledge protects you, but you have to protect wealth. Wealth decreases by spending, but knowledge increases by spreading. Subhanallah. So in our world today, in our Western world, here you are in this big state of Texas, right? Where everything's considered bigger than life here. The shopping centers are gigantic. The supermarkets are so big you could have a soccer match in one of the aisles. How many of you know what I'm talking about? This is a place where you see wealth, you see materialism, you see success defined by outer pictures, by outer things, by material. And that's what many people think success really is. They think it's grades, they think it's status, they think it's cars, houses, getting into an Ivy League school. They think it's material gains. That's what many people think is success. You know, many of you parents, I'm sure, are really happy when that report card comes home and it says that wonderful letter all through it. What's that letter? Hey, all the children know. But I want to talk to you today about more than A's. I want you to talk about what Allah has asked us to truly be. What defines a true successful person in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's eyes. And that is to be an abd of Allah. Allah says He created us to worship Him. It says, إِلَّا لِعَبُدُ. He created us what? Except to worship Him. That is our primary goal and our primary identity. And so when we look at a school like this, the greatest success is that if these young people can really become true worshipers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is success. Now when I looked at these ayahs, we're looking at the word muflihun, the successful ones. And it comes from the root word falaha. Now this word is fascinating because it has a picture with it. It doesn't just mean success. It means to till the earth. Now how is it that tilling the earth, yes, turning the soil, right, to prepare it for when you plant the seeds, how is that related to success? Now what is it that you have to do to prepare the soil, to make it fruitful, to make it produce strong, good plants, nutritive plants that keep on giving? What is it that you have to do to prepare that soil? Well, you have a lot of work to do. You have to turn that soil over. You have to take something like compost or other nutrients and you have to enrich the soil. Yes? Now, the soil is you, the children. You are this soil. And Allah is saying, you want to be successful? We've got to move things around. We've got to prepare that ground, that heart of yours, to be able to accept the seeds of guidance and knowledge so that something good can grow from you, so that you don't just get good grades, but that you are amazing people, that you are kind, giving, compassionate, that you are an asset to humanity, that you wear this garb of Islam, not just your physical garb, but the way in which you present yourself to the world is so dignified that other people would love to be near you. This is successful, that heart of yours is turning and growing and it's going to be fruitful. Now, I don't know if many of you know this, but perhaps you do. In traditional cultures, one would never till the soil or plant crops without doing what first? Sing the seed song or pray for the earth. Pray for a good crop. And this is what you, as these members of this school, are doing for these children. You're not just giving them an academic education. You are praying for their hearts to be enriched. You are praying for the seeds of knowledge that are going to be planted in them to be truly fruitful and to be successful in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now there's something important to remember too. In our world today, this has been forgotten. And when you are a good farmer, you never forget this. So when you're a good educator, you must learn to do this as well. And that is, you must learn to let the soil rest. You must learn to let the soil rest. What does that mean in education? That means teachers, there has to be time for the children to digest what they're learning. There has to be time for inner reflection. But what is the system of education today most like? Give the information, children take it, and what do they have to do with it again? Give it back. Then they get more information, they give it back. Then more information. So do you see this process? In, out, in, out. But was there a rest period? Was there a time for the children to digest, to truly understand, to reflect? Was there time for quiet? Was there time for observation? Was there time to be in nature and to see the world? Allah says throughout the Holy Quran, observe nature. He tells us to look at the sun rising. He tells you to look at the sun setting. He tells you to look into the nature of the animals, to see what's in your own soul. So what I want to share with all our educators here tonight, and parents too, because you are the first teachers of your children, is that you must give these children some time to rest. That means not this, not this, not this, not this. What am I doing? That's right. How did you all know? Because that look, right? You see that blank? This is not resting. I could do a whole weekend seminar on TV and media, but we'll save that for another time, inshallah. So what you need to give these beautiful children is that time for rest, so that whatever they're learning can come within them and they can truly produce something, inshallah. And they can have, like this word that Allah uses for success, falaha, that this soil of their being, their heart and their mind can really be fruitful. Now, this is what real success is. Now, I want to talk about the role of parents, because these teachers, these educators here may be striving on behalf of their children. Your resident alim may be striving, and all the people who teach the Islamic courses, they may be striving to enrich the lives of these children with Islamic knowledge. But you are the key to that success. Because if you are not growing along with these children, if you are not practicing along with these children, you may as well throw those seeds into rocky soil. There's a parable from Jesus, Isa alayhi salam, which talks about this. You can take those seeds, you can throw them onto rocky ground. You can throw them into the vines that are growing in the weeds. You can throw them into soil that is very shallow, or you can throw it into a rich, nutritive soil that is ready to grow. You have those choices. But you as the parent have to be along with that process. And one thing that's so important to recognize is that this school is not an oven. This school is not an oven. In other words, your children are not pieces of dough that come into school, put the timer on, ding, comes out, and you have them and they're done. No, it doesn't work like that. That's where you come in. You have to be learning and growing with them. It is not something that they can do alone. And this is important because no matter where we are in our level of Islamic knowledge, for example, or our academic knowledge, we can always learn. But who wants to defeat us in this process of continuing to learn even when we're older? None other than Shaitan. He wants you to be embarrassed if you don't know something as an adult. He wants you to be embarrassed that you can't progress or ask questions. There are many things we all need to learn about our religion. There are many things we could improve. Our tajweed, our understanding of Quran, our understanding of fiqh. We could learn so many things. I mean, what do you think? The alims go to schools for years and years and years and they're still learning. These are examples for us. But Shaitan is the one who says, be embarrassed. Don't ask questions. But I'm telling you, defeat him by be continually interested in being a learner yourself. And this way your children will have the best role model in you. Allah says, ask of me, right? Udu'uni istajib lakum. Ask of him. Always seek to learn, always seek to understand, to grow, to change, to forgive yourself, to move forward. And when your children see this in you, you will have given them an excellent role model. You will have shown them what true humility is and what true Islamic growth is all about. Insha'Allah. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, acquiring knowledge is an obligation for every male and every female Muslim. Certainly Allah loves those who have a desire for knowledge. So you all are in this process. School's not an oven. You don't get to put them in here, ding, they're done. You keep growing, inshallah. Now I want to talk to you about an author. Her name is Madeline Levine. She's written a book called How to Raise a Child, Teach Your Children Well. And she was written about in the New York Times in an article just this past July. She is a psychologist and this author, and what she sees in her clinical settings I think is very important for us to understand so that we can help create the healthiest environments for these children and inshallah their best outcome for their future. She's looking at certain factors and she's comparing it to the norm, and the standards of this Western society today. What is she seeing? She says she's a clinician, and she says she's on the front lines of the battle between our better natures. That is, parents' deep love and concern for their kids, and our culture's worst competitive and materialistic influences. So what are the two? We've got the parents' love and desire for their children's success, countered with what? A materialistic, a competitive environment, a highly competitive environment. And this is not just within one ethnic group. This is something that Americans are feeling in many areas. So what does she say? She's saying day after day in her private psychology practice in a very affluent county in California called Marin County, Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. She's working with teenagers who are depleted, angry, sad, and they're all trying to compete for admission to a handful of big-name colleges, and with parents who can't steady or guide them. So they're lost in the pursuit of goals that have drained their life of pleasure, contentment, and connection. They have no pleasure, no contentment, no connection. She's saying in her research and with the cases that she has worked with, she's saying very emphatically that our current version of success is a failure. Our current version of success is a failure. But we have another vision of success from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She says that this is a real epidemic. She's actually spent 30 years in practice working with unhappy children. She's a therapist and she's a mother herself of 3 sons. And they've all attended very high pressure schools. And now she says it would seem she's had it. She says she's had it with schools that worship at the altar of high achievement, but do everything they can to undermine children's growth and well-being. Eliminating recess, which I talked about with my host today. Eliminating recess, assigning mind-deadening amounts of homework, and ranking, measuring, valuing, comparing kids by narrowly focused measures of test scores. And they cut out other areas of creative education in which large numbers of students who don't necessarily test well might actually find that they are successful in. Now, I've worked in Muslim schools before, and I can tell you the parents' enthusiasm for the children's success academically can be very overwhelming and short-sighted. They put a lot of pressure on teachers. I want my child to have more homework. I want you to push my child ahead. Why did my child not get an A? And they harass the teachers rather than support the teachers. And I'm sure none of you do that, inshallah. But this is so important for you parents to understand that it is not just an academic score that is going to make these children wonderful, interested learners and strong Muslims. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad ali Muhammad. She says something very important. Levine is her name. The inconvenient truth remains that not every child can be shaped and accelerated into Harvard material. Not every child can be shaped and accelerated into Harvard material. What's the acceptance rate at Harvard, by the way? Do any of you know? 7%. Did anybody say 7? 7%. And then, of course, we're talking through hundreds of thousands of applications. That is one of the hardest acceptance rates in the country. But yet, everybody wants it. I recommend a book to you all right now. So if you have a pen and paper or your smartphone, write this title down. So not only do I recommend Madeline Levine's book, How to Raise a Child, Teach Your Children Well, Madeline Levine, Levine. This other book I recommend for you is called 40 Colleges That Change Lives. 40 Colleges That Change Lives. If you read this book, you will have a much better understanding of how your child can succeed in the future and not necessarily get an Ivy League education. The author of this book worked for over 50 years doing college counseling with children, students going in looking for colleges. What he found is fascinating. He said it's actually smaller liberal arts colleges all throughout the United States, from the East Coast to the West Coast, and everywhere in between, that can take a student at any level, and because of their smaller campuses and their more intensive mentoring focus from the professors, actually end up producing better graduates, people who actually produce more in whatever field they've majored in, because they have a more personal, intimate relationship with a mentor who is interested in them. If you go to an Ivy League school like Harvard, you will be in auditorium-sized classrooms, and good luck if you'll ever meet your professor. So we have to change our thinking, not only about success from an Islamic point of view, but success from an actual academic point of view as well. So find that book. What is it? 40? That save, or change, not save, change lives. Inshallah, there's also a website. So here's what Levine says. She says the inconvenient truth remains that not every child can be shaped, what? Into Harvard material. But here's the clencher rather. She says, but all kids can have their spirits broken. All kids can have their spirits broken. She says she sees depression-induced anxiety stoked by too much stress, too little downtime, and too much attention given to external factors that make a child look good to an audience of appraising eyes, but leave them feeling rotten inside. So what is the message here? Remember that character and the inner life of this child that you are raising is as important, if not more, than grades. Grades are only one part. So the question really is, how can these young students take what you've taught them and turn it into something else, such as their being, such as their character, such as their conduct, and such as their actions in the world? Levine also says, we know a lot about the grades of our children, but not enough about where they go, what they do, what they think, what they feel. We monitor their performance, but we don't know their character. Let me give you an example of this. MashaAllah, I visited a community once, I won't tell you where, and on the board were the pictures of the students from the Sunday school. And one of the students had in a nice little frame, Best Student Award in Akhlaq, academics, responsibility. But guess what? I was attending a majlis with a very well-known speaker who doesn't like interruptions. He likes quiet. And when he's interrupted, he will give what we call the stare of death. Well, guess who got the stare of death? Yes, it was the one who won the Best Student Award in Akhlaq. So, we have to make sure that the behavior matches the standards, inshallah. Now, let me put this into another perspective as well. When we think about, inshallah, Imam Mahdi, Ajalallahu ta'ala farajahu sharif, Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, to be prepared for him, inshallah, one of the things we need to do is make sure that this heart of ours is enlivened, that this heart of these beautiful children is sensitive still. They're born like that, by the way. It's usually education that can destroy it. But that sensitive and a receptive heart. Let me just point out something in child development. If you look at a baby, what do they like to do? Especially a toddler who can walk. What do they like to do? They like to go and touch everything, right? This is innate drive for learning. You're seeing innate drive for learning in the human being. But what happens in school? What do you ask the children to do? Sit still. Sit down. This basically kills the innate drive for learning. You want to see movement. You want to give that child an opportunity to be active in the world in healthy ways, with good boundaries too. Not just wild, like climb the curtains. No. All right? You have to give good boundaries for these children, inshallah, so that they can have what they need within healthy boundaries. And this is what will allow the heart of the child to be still interested in life and still interested in learning, inshallah. So this is part of our waiting for the Imam, inshallah. that true success is going to be whether this heart is open and receptive to Allah's majesty, to Allah's plan, to Allah's guidance and perfection. So my message to you, and I'm closing in a short while, is what is it that you need to do? Be present, be involved, be interested in these young ones, and be interested in your own self-development. Recognize yourself, look in the mirror and say to yourself, what is it that I need to improve? What is it that I could do better today? What is it I can learn today? And even if it's one small thing, subhanAllah, that is worth it. Always be striving and always meet the challenges you have in life with initiative. And this is the message of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He always met the challenges that he faced, and of course he had challenges beyond what we can understand, but he always met it with an initiative, with a positive solution, with positive, loving attention. And this is what you can be an example for. The other thing I would encourage you to do is support these children by helping them to be responsible, by helping them to be prepared. So at night, every night, in a practical manner, make sure that your children have everything they need for the next day. Homework, lunch, whatever forms, whatever other little details they need. Make sure it's ready, not in the morning, at night. And go over the day with them at night. Review your day and talk positively about what you hope for them and what you dream for them. And this way, when they wake up in the morning, things are ready and they can lift themselves up and invest themselves in the day without chaos. Where's my shoe? Where's my this? Where's my that? Mom doesn't have her keys. Where's the other? No. Create that balance and boundary and healthy environment for them so that they can start their day and they can come to these teachers ready and receptive and open. That's your job. And remember, as you develop, so will these children. They are a reflection of you. And this is your most important remembrance. Now, encourage them, but don't pressurize them. Encourage them, but don't pressurize them. If you continually pressurize them, you will create a stressful response in them, and ill health, mental health will deteriorate, just as Levine told you. Let me tell you, everybody loves the model of Korean schools. They think they're the best. They're held up as a model. Even Obama has gone to Korea, has talked about Korean educational system as a high point in education. Do you know they have the highest rate of suicide in youth in the world? The highest rate of suicide because of this crazy academic pressure. So keep in mind, as Muslims, we're looking for balance. We're not looking for extremes. So in closing, I also want to mention one other thing, which is really so critical as a Muslim community. We are an ummah. That means we're one family. So while all of you parents are so invested in the welfare and success of your child, guess what? That's not Islamic. You have to be interested in the welfare and the success of all these children. And inshallah, if you as a community can do that, you will have come to the definition of true success, falaha, to enliven this self, to turn it over, to make it a soil which can produce true and valuable fruits. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala